Ciao a tutti. This is Papilla ASMR, and today I wanted to show you how I make my lasagna alla Bolognese. There are many different ways to make meatless lasagna with many different vegetables and white sauce and all cheeses. But sometimes, especially if you used to eat meat, you want to taste something a bit more similar to the original. So during the years, I've been experimenting with the recipe using different kinds of vegetarian meat replacements. So first, as you can see, I start by making the famous soffritto, which involves sautéing onion, carrot and celery. I chop them in the mixer, not only because it's quicker, but also because I want them very, very fine. And it is really not nice to find chunks of carrots in your sauce, for instance. So you want the vegetables to melt, basically, in the oil and in the sauce. In the future, I will also show you how I make a more southern Italian lasagna. And in that case, there's no white sauce and there's a lot of mozzarella instead. I have tried a version of Bolognese lasagna with the addition of mozzarella, but it is not traditional, and I don't think it's necessary. I think the white sauce and the Parmesan are enough. And I've also added some salt. At this stage, because I've been told that it helps the vegetables to let out their water more easily and therefore not to burn. Don't be shy with the olive oil. I also want to add bay leaves to the soffritto, and my grandma always used to add the bay leaves. To me, it makes a real difference. So much that I wouldn't be making this if I didn't have bay leaves. In a southern lasagna, you might expect to find basil, for instance, but not in this version. So now for the meat. First, I'm going to use this dehydrated soy mince, which on its own, it's quite bland. So you need to be smart on how you cook it. For this recipe, I'm going to pair it with something very, very tasty. And very processed as well. That's why I'm using this pretty natural, well, as natural as a fake meat can be. That's why I'm using this, to kind of try to balance. So I'm going to let it in the water so that it gets back to its natural form, and it will take about 10 minutes. But for this recipe, I'm going to pair it with 2 Beyond Burgers, and these are what makes a difference, I have to say. We don't have other types of Beyond Meat here in the UK, yet at least. So if there is a Beyond Mince Meat, for instance, where you live, maybe you want to give that a try first. I'm going to add the burgers first so that the soy takes their flavor, since it's a sort of sponge. I believe that's what it does. It seems to be doing that anyway, but maybe I'm overthinking this and imagining stuff. But yes, and with Italian recipes, you're gonna want to build flavor from the ground up. So the more things you add to the base, the more flavor you add to the base, and the more you're gonna get. That's also the reason why some put pancetta at the start of some types of soups, or the end bit of Parmesan. For the tomato sauce, so traditionally the lasagna alla Bolognese don't have a lot of tomato because it is primarily a meat-based sauce. But here, even if this mix of meat substitute is really tasty, I still don't want it to be at the center of attention. So I'm going to add 2 cans of the best chopped tomatoes that I was able to find, and half of bottle of Passata to make it smoother. By the way, I did add a tiny splash of red wine before this. I don't know where the footage went, but again, this stuff is very spongy, so I don't want to add the amount that I would if it was meat. Now for the white sauce. It is a standard white sauce bechamel. So here I measure the flour. And the milk. So, but before adding those, I start by melting the butter. Like all culinary evil plans, it all starts by melting the butter. Now, I've been told that the flour needs to toast, whatever that means. I just understanding as in make it cook for a little bit longer than I would before adding the milk. And you should add the milk a little bit slower than what I'm doing here. I was quite aware that my baby was going to wake up shortly when I filmed this, so unfortunately I couldn't be as slow and calm as I would have loved to be. I'm also going to add some ground nutmeg. My job when I was a kid, helping my grandmother or my mom to make lasagna, was to grate the ground nutmeg tiny little grinder. Okay, so this is the right consistency. You want it to be a little bit on the liquid side because it tends to thicken a lot whilst cooking. So for the actual lasagna sheets, I don't make it myself anymore. It is too much work, and I also don't have a pasta machine anymore. But they absolutely need to be fresh. So not the dry kind. In Italy, you will go in a pasta shop to get them when you don't want to make them yourself. But luckily now you can find good kinds here in the UK. So I'm showing you the modern Italian way to make lasagna. Which is buying lasagna sheets. So what I do is I cook them and then I transfer them onto clean kitchen towels to let them dry and cool. And now for my favorite part, which is actually building the lasagna and make the layers. I always start by putting a tiny bit of white sauce at the bottom. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. I just always done it that way. I suspect, as with most of my cooking knowledge, I just saw somebody doing it this way. Bit of social learning there. So obviously the lasagna sheets are next, and it is a bit of a Tetris situation whereby you have to kind of cut the sheets in a way that fits the tray that you're using. So, unsurprisingly, the tomato sauce is next. And you want to add an obscene amount of Parmesan cheese. It needs to be quite a lot. So if you have a quantity in your mind, just double it. Again, it is the only cheese that goes into this, so you really don't want to be shy with it. The two main kind of quote-unquote mistakes that I see people making when cooking Italian dishes are, one is not to get the best ingredients, because that really is what makes Italian food. It's the quality. It's not recipes, it's quality of the products. And secondly is to be shy with quantity, because you want to be abundant. It's there aren't many recipes where it is about like a quiet balance of flavor, like delicate balance. It's more like loud flavors. If I was to make this with half of the ingredients that you see me using here, so half of the sauces and cheese and maybe olive oil in the sauce, it wouldn't come up as nice. It's kind of like you go big or you go home with certain, maybe most of Italian dishes. So this is the almost final result, and I'm actually going to freeze these, and I'm going to then defrost it when I need it, and cook them. And here's the final result. And I can't tell you how close to the original this tastes. It was absolutely to die for. So please do try them and let me know how it went.